T.I. and Tiny. So we was just talking about having a conversation about the 50 Cent verses and T.I. and
Oh
Tiny.
yeah, yeah.
All right, and T.I. came up. Obviously, we was talking about the verses of her and 50 Cent, him going back and forth with 50 over the Tiny's diss. But they going straight to the bank, man. So T.I. and Tiny, so they obviously riding off of T.I.'s success
Hmm.
and Tiny's success. Tiny decided, with T.I.'s wife, she decided to create a girl band, right? So the girl band was called the O.M.G. Girlz. They're flamboyant, they flashy, they got all the colorful hair. A lot of people loved them. America fell in love with them. It was his daughter and a few of his nieces.
Okay.
So three girls. Now, they created this a while ago. A toy company by the name of, what is the name? MGA. Start using their name, image, and likeness. So they start creating dolls that was slightly like 85 to 90%. If you
Similar.
see that, you would be like, that's the OMG girls.
Yeah.
And they're well known for this. They got dolls that look like Michael Jackson, that got like a red leather jacket on, white glove, and it says hee hee or something on the
Right.
shirt. But they said, oh, that's not Michael Jackson.
Right. It
So they
says
did
thrill
this.
instead of thriller.
Exactly, right? So they did this, and T.I. and them sent a cease and desist. And, you know, big companies like this do this because a lot of people ain't got the time, energy, or money to fight.
Right.
So, and it takes a long, long time to get this. They've been in court 5, 6 years. So, earlier this year, they got a huge win in the case, $71 million against
Yeah.
MGA. So they celebrated. T.I. retired. Remember, T.I. said he going, I ain't rapping no more, right? He retired. And then a judge came and threw it out. And he threw it out because he said the punitive damages, so there's different damages. You got actual damages, which means I stole from Cliff Roach. I stole 18 actual $1 million from you
Right.
using your name, image, and likeness, which they did. It was 17.8. And then the judge tossed the punitive damages and said, y'all can either go to court or accept $1. So obviously they're gonna go to
Of
court.
course, that's crazy.
So I believe this was the fourth or fifth trial they had for this, and a judge threw out, or a jury sided with MGA and said, yeah, they copied y'all stuff, but it wasn't really malicious. Like, we're gonna let them off the hook this time. So T.I. numbers walking away with $17.8 million. They were supposed to get 71. A win is a win.
Yeah.
Money is money. $17.8 million all in.
I mean, it's good for, integrity, right? Like fundamentally, like I stood on business. I didn't let them work me over because, as you mentioned, those big companies will do that every day and get
Yes.
away with it 9 times out of 10. It's funny because it reminds me there's actually a pretty popular clothing line from a young man out of Detroit and just started to blow up around the city and really taking wind around the country. But I guess Fashion Nova had stole like a super similar design, like with the
Yeah.
words on the back, the way the shirts were cut and everything. And he had like made a post one day, like showing off all his legal trademarks and patents and stuff, and saying like, "Hey,
Yeah.
Fashion Nova, I'm coming for you." And I don't know, what's amounted from that, but it's just good to see sometimes when people do at least have a few things in order so that they can stand up for their business and
Yeah.
go against these big wig companies. But they do it all the time, right?
Yeah.
They see a smaller entity that might be popping and say, well, because we're such a big engine, if we just take that design and concept and visual that people already like, we can probably take some of their market share.
And I think this is a big misconception that people have of courts and how things work. So if you do something wrong, okay, if you put a gun up to me and ask me for $100, you're going to jail because the police. I don't even have to. I don't even have to file no legal things, nothing against you to get my money back. The police will lock you up because that's a felony to use force to take something from someone, whether it's strong arm, meaning you just doing it by yourself, or you using some type of weapon. Now in business, if you use a quote unquote gun, which is your big legal expenses and your big reputation against me,
Right.
the cops are going to say That's a civil issue. There ain't nothing I can really do. So companies can legally rob you
Yeah.
in your face, steal your name, image, and likeness. Y'all can have a contract. The contract is not worth the paper that is on if you can't go to court. You can have a trademark. You can have a copyright. You can have the song. You did everything right. And it's not worth the paper that is on because you have to enforce it. So the real asset in business is being able to enforce your trademark, being able to enforce your copyright, being able to enforce your contract or whatever. And that's what people don't really understand. Wealth is stolen. These people sit up, these big companies, bro, you got to think about it. They're so big, they're not creative. So all they do is sit back and pluck your
Yep.
idea and dare you to sue them. It's going to take 5-6 years.
Yeah, yeah. It's that time lag that it takes to hold them accountable anyway. That lets
Yes.
them get away with it most times.
Yes, the time, because okay, think about this. Not only does, if I wanted to steal your money, not only does you have to have legal fees, you have to pay legal fees up front, and lawyers charging two, three, four, $500, $1,000,
An
$1,500 an
hour.
hour.
Yeah.
And that don't sound like a lot until you get that first bill and realize they're billing you for all 8, 12, because lawyers work long hours
Yeah. And it's gonna take them 5, 6 months
to come up with an answer, and the answer gonna be it depends, right? So, okay, you gotta have money for that. You also gotta have money to hire experts to come in on your behalf and say, yeah, this is they are stealing your stuff. So T.I. and them obviously got the money, they hired that. Well, you still gotta live, right? You still gotta live, operate your business. Okay, living is one expense, operating your business and staying in business, because sometimes people will dare you to sue them because they know you can't stay in business.
Right.
They know you can't float those legal fees, float your actual personal expenses, and sue them. And it's going to take 5-6 years. And guess what? If you win, they get the right to an
Yeah.
appeal.
Yeah.
So you have to be able to fund 4 or 5 lawsuits in order to
Yeah.
get compensated for one lawsuit.
It's funny because I remember we had this conversation a while back that like all these big corporations are made up of more attorneys than anything else.
Yes.
It's like if you can build a massive company, you probably need more lawyers than you do salespeople, accountants, engineers,
Yes.
and everything in between. Because
Yes.
when it comes down to it, it's all a matter of paperwork, who can prove what
I mean,
stands
you
up
worked
court
in
and
the
what doesn't.
insurance industry.
Come on, man.
That's all
It's
insurance.
nothing but contracts.
Nothing but
Insurance
contract.
is nothing but a contract.
So it's nothing but litigation.
That's it. Everything about it is contract, what's on paper, an agreement, and the clauses and loopholes.
Correct.
Yeah.
Because, like, for example, when I used to be younger, they used to drug test people. So a lot of people used to be, hey, pee in the cup or whatever. Like, I didn't pee in the cup for people when I'm 13, don't know what I'm doing. And then I realized as I got older, like, y'all was scamming, basically. Like,
Yeah.
y'all scamming the job, right? So I never did drugs. I never smoked. I don't drink, stuff like that. So, like, my pee clean. So I remember when I got my first job, I peed in the cup, whatever, passed the test. But nowadays they don't do that. Marijuana is legal in a lot of states. So what they do is now they wait on you to try to sue them for negligence or whatever on the job, and then they drug test you and say, oh, in the employment contract you signed, you said you don't smoke weed.
Yeah.
You got weed in your system, and no, we're not testing your pee, we're testing your hair. And that stays in your system a lot longer, probably a year or so. And now you cook. Now you can't get the payout that you rightly deserve.
And you didn't even know that was in the employee agreement.
'Cause you're not reading.
Yeah. Because who reading that?
And it's all contracts. So the lesson here is, for one, this is why people need to go to law school, and this is why everybody needs an attorney who has an attorney, because all of these companies, the NBA, the NFL, Disney, I don't care who they are, these insurance companies, these finance companies, all it is made up of attorneys to steal and rob you, and you can't do anything unless, now you see all these personal injury lawyers and stuff like that. They work on contingency fees. Business is not about contingency fees.
Right.
You got to pay that up front.
Yeah, come with that check.
And it's designed like that because the rich get richer and the poor get poorer. So Shout out to Ti because obviously Ti got the money to take these people to court. But think about all the other people that they steal from, small companies that you really can't do nothing
Yeah.
about because it's going to take you millions and millions of dollars to actually, hold these people accountable. And it's unfortunate, but I'm glad Ti sued them. I mean, they're a multi-billion-dollar company.
Yeah.
Thank you guys for watching. I want to make a deal with you. On my end, I'm going to produce high quality, informative content for you to enjoy and learn from. And on your end, you're going to subscribe down below to the podcast. Now we have a 50-50 deal to build this independent media company together. And if you want to invest with us and ensure our success, subscribe down to the YouTube membership. It really, really helps us hire journalists, hire videographers, and do the investigative journalism and independent journalism that you love and that you learn from.